It seems like every time people think Martell Holt is finally going to calm down, he finds a way to prove everyone wrong. The man stays in the headlines, and this time, it wasn't about drama with Melody or a court case. It was about a late-night Instagram live that had people talking for all the wrong reasons. This time, Martell wasn't alone. He was joined by none other than Ralph Pittman from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. The two were together on live, seemingly having a night out, and the whole thing turned into something that left viewers shaking their heads. What started off as a casual moment quickly became a conversation about what happens when reality TV personalities forget that social media doesn't sleep. The live stream was chaotic from the beginning. Martell could be heard joking, laughing, and talking loudly while the music played in the background. At first, it seemed harmless, just two men relaxing, maybe celebrating something, or just enjoying a night out. But as the live went on, people couldn't help but notice how sloppy things started to look. Martell and Ralph both appeared to be drinking, and their energy shifted from relaxed to silly. It was hard to tell what was really going on because there was a lot of noise, laughter, and confusion in the background. At one point, Martell said, "Hey, who want more? Oh, my bad, we better go hit. We going?" He laughed and looked at Ralph, calling him out by saying, "Ralph, been drinking too much water. He over here having a Bible study." The joke might have sounded funny in the moment, but to people watching, it was clear the two men were tipsy. The comments on the live were full of people asking if they were drunk. Martell tried to play it off, but the energy told a different story. The longer the live went on, the more unfiltered it became. Martell and Ralph were talking over each other, shouting random things, and laughing like they were having their own private party. Martell even started promoting his music out of nowhere. He told viewers to go listen to his song "Wish You Well," and started singing the chorus right there on live. Ralph tried to join in, repeating the words, "I wish you well," as Martell laughed and told him to sing it again. The entire scene felt like two people forgetting that thousands of people were watching them act a fool. At one point, Martell said, "We on TV. Ralph been drinking too much water." Then, moments later, he shouted out his own song, repeating "Wish you well, baby," over and over. It was awkward, but strangely revealing. Martell has been trying to get people to take his music seriously, but this live made him look anything but professional. When you're on TV and under public scrutiny, every move you make is watched closely, and Martell seems to forget that every single time. As the night went on, Ralph and Martell's conversation got more random. They started talking about where they were, mentioning a place called Whiskey. Martell said, "We at a place called Whiskey. It's whiskey." "No. Am I drinking?" "Yeah." He laughed as if it was all one big joke, even though it was clear that he was under the influence. Ralph could be seen next to him, looking into the phone, sometimes lost, sometimes amused. People watching were confused. Was this really Martell Holt? The same man who has spent the last few years fighting over his image, custody, and reputation. What stood out most was how carefree and reckless he seemed. Martell, who often claims he's misunderstood or unfairly judged, was once again showing everyone why his name stays in messy headlines. Instead of keeping things private or staying out of trouble, he went live for the world to see. In the clip, he said, "I don't know why I went live, but I just wanted to go live and say what's up." That line alone told you everything. There was no real reason, no plan, no control. It was impulsive, emotional, and unguarded. Ralph, for his part, didn't look any better. He was focused on his own phone, sometimes glancing over at Martell's camera. And at one point, Martell said, "Ralph is really obsessed with this live. He's staring at my phone." You could tell Martell thought it was funny, but Ralph seemed annoyed. The awkwardness between them added to the uncomfortable energy. When Martell tried to make Ralph say goodbye to the viewers, Ralph replied, "I'm in my own phone, bro," clearly uninterested in playing along. The two men were in their own worlds, trying to have fun but not realizing how bad it looked. It's one thing for celebrities to let loose off camera, but when you go live on Instagram and put it out there for everyone to see, it becomes a different story. People screenshot, screen record, and share clips before you can even delete them. And that's exactly what happened here. Fans quickly started circulating the video, questioning why Martell always seems to be caught up in embarrassing situations. Some people even joked that this was Martell's way of coping with stress, while others said it was just another example of poor judgment. What makes this even more interesting is that Ralph Pittman has also been under public scrutiny for his own issues. Fans of The Real Housewives of Atlanta know that Ralph and his ex-wife Drew Sidora had a very rocky relationship, filled with accusations of emotional neglect, gaslighting, and dishonesty. Ralph's reputation has already taken a hit because of that. So seeing him hanging out with Martell, another controversial figure, raised a lot of eyebrows. It was like watching two reality TV villains bonding over bad decisions. The combination of Martell and Ralph together made people instantly suspicious. Viewers wondered, what brought these two together? Was it a business connection? A random meetup? Or were they just enjoying a night out as friends? Martell mentioned the place they were at, whiskey, and the name alone added irony to the situation. The two claimed they weren't drinking much, but their behavior suggested otherwise. At one point, Martell even said, we sober. We had one. Hold on. Don't drink, and I don't either. I'm a Christian." He laughed right after saying it, clearly not taking himself seriously. The live continued to spiral. Martell was laughing, singing, talking over the music, and repeating himself. It almost felt like he was trying too hard to prove he was having fun, even though he didn't seem in control. He told viewers, "You know, it don't matter. We having a good time out here. I don't know where we are from heaven." It was the kind of rambling that only happens when someone's had too much to drink or too much attention. He was trying to play it cool, but instead it came across as erratic. Ralph, meanwhile, stayed glued to his phone, sometimes smiling, sometimes ignoring Martell. He looked like he was trying to keep himself together, while his friend went on with the live. At one point, Martell pointed out, "Ralph is staring at my phone," before saying he was going to let Ralph say goodbye. Ralph refused, saying, "I'm in my own phone, bro," which made the moment even more awkward. The two clearly weren't on the same page, and viewers picked up on the tension. The comments during the live were brutal. People wrote things like, "They both drunk," "This is embarrassing," and "Why are y'all even live right now?" Martell's decision to broadcast that moment didn't help his already fragile image. For someone who constantly talks about being judged unfairly, this was another self-inflicted wound. Every time it seems like Martell could turn his reputation around, he finds a way to sabotage himself. It's also worth noting how much Martell kept talking about his song, "Wish You Well." Throughout the live, he repeated it multiple times, sang it, and even made Ralph sing it. It felt like he was using the live as an excuse to promote his music, even though the setting made it look unserious. Viewers laughed and commented that it was hard to take him seriously when he was slurring his words while trying to promote a song about wishing people well. It was unintentional comedy, but also sad to watch because it showed how far Martell's public image has fallen. After years of drama with Melody Shari, custody issues, and constant public backlash, you would think Martell would try to keep a low profile, but instead, he keeps making decisions that invite more scrutiny. This Instagram Live was just another reminder that Martell can't seem to help himself. He has access to fame, exposure, and opportunities, but his impulsive behavior always seems to get in the way. Fans immediately began connecting the dots between Martell and Ralph. Both have been portrayed as controlling and immature men on their respective shows. Both have ex-wives who were open about the emotional struggles they faced, and both seem to care more about public image than personal growth. So seeing them together, acting up on live, almost felt symbolic. Two men who represent the same kind of reality TV chaos, coming together for one messy night. As the video spread online, people started questioning if Martell and Ralph had any real awareness of how they were being perceived. It's one thing to have a private night out, but when you post everything live, it becomes public domain. It becomes content. And in today's world, that means people will dissect every facial expression, every word, every laugh. When the live ended, the reaction was swift. Clips were posted on fan pages, blogs, and YouTube channels. People said they couldn't believe Martell went live in that state, especially after all the backlash he's already faced. Some even called it a cry for attention, suggesting that Martell might be using antics like this to stay relevant in between seasons. Others felt bad for him, saying that maybe he just needs real friends who can stop him from embarrassing himself publicly. The live didn't just embarrass Martell, it also dragged Ralph back into the spotlight, at a time when he was probably trying to lay low after his divorce. Both men looked lost, and neither seemed aware of how bad it looked. Martell saying, "I don't know why I came. I don't know why I went live, but I just wanted to go live and say what's up," sums up the night perfectly. It was pointless, messy, and revealing. It showed that Martell still doesn't know how to separate his private life from his public image. He thrives on attention, even when it hurts him. Throughout the video, Martell kept insisting that they weren't drinking heavily, even though they were at a place called Whiskey. He laughed, joked, and tried to keep the energy fun, but the more he talked, the clearer it became that he was not fully sober. Ralph's attempts to appear calm only made things more uncomfortable, because it created a strange contrast. One man trying to keep composure, the other completely oblivious. When Martell said, "Wish me well," and repeated, "I wish you well," several times, it almost sounded ironic. He was saying the right words, but living the opposite. People started commenting that he should take his own advice. Wishing others well is great, but maybe it's time for Martell to start wishing himself well, and meaning it. In many ways, this live was another chapter in the same story. A man who doesn't know when to stop, who keeps proving his critics right. For years, Martell has claimed that the media twists his words, that fans misjudge him, and that people only focus on his mistakes. But when you go live like this, laughing and acting drunk while claiming to be sober, it's hard to blame anyone else. This was self-inflicted. Even the way Ralph responded, quiet, distracted, slightly irritated, said a lot. It's like he knew this was going to be bad press, but by the time the live started, it was too late. They were already on camera, and people were already watching. Ralph's decision to keep looking at his own phone instead of engaging might have been his way of distancing himself, but it didn't help. The optics were bad either way. By the time the live ended, both men had exposed themselves more than they probably realized. They came across as careless and immature. Two grown men acting like teenagers on Instagram Live. It wasn't funny, it wasn't cool, and it didn't make either of them look good. What makes this moment stand out is that it reflects a bigger issue with some reality TV personalities. They become so used to being on camera that they forget how to act off camera. The line between personal and public gets blurry, and they end up performing even when they shouldn't. Martell and Ralph weren't filming a scene for TV, but it felt like they were still performing for attention. In the end, this situation wasn't just about a drunken night or a silly Instagram live. It was a reminder of how quickly reputations can crumble when people don't take accountability. Martell Holt and Ralph Pittman are both men who have faced public criticism before, yet they keep walking into situations that make them look worse. Whether it's ego, loneliness, or poor judgment, it's clear that something needs to change. People online are already calling this one of Martell's most embarrassing moments since his reality TV debut. Not because it was shocking or scandalous, but because it showed how out of touch he can be. While others in his position would use social media to rebuild their brand or share positive updates, Martell seems stuck in a loop of self-sabotage. As the clips continue to circulate, viewers are still reacting with disbelief. Some are laughing, some are disappointed, and others are just shaking their heads. Because at this point, it feels like Martell's downfall is being documented in real time. The night might have ended with him saying, "I wish you well," but people are wondering if Martell truly means it, or if he even understands the message behind his own song. For now, what's clear is that he and Ralph managed to turn a casual live stream into a viral spectacle. And while the internet laughs, both of them will have to deal with the consequences once the cameras are off. Because once something hits the internet, it never really goes away.